what time it is. Marvin Devine, Huber, Axel, and you know how we do. Yeah, I got the juice, yeah, I got the juice. Big game cool, make them look like cool. Always play it cool, that's the biggest rule. Forget what they doing, keep on doing. Let's go. I've been making loot since like 22. Ask me how I made it right here in the booth. I'm always pursued cause of what I pursue. That's greatness, yeah, I gotta make it, I got things to lose. Boy, you wanna get in my crew, but you can't get in my crew. Me, XL, and Huber, way too fireable. When this joint drop, better call the troops. And when you hear the drop, better raise the roof. Better raise the roof. You already know what happens when we link up. Let's go. Yeah, I got the juice. Yeah, I got the juice. Big game cool, make them look like cool. Always play it cool, that's the biggest rule. Forget what they doing, keep on doing.
Every day we escape, losing all of our faith. We can't live this way. Feel me slowly fade away. Feel me slowly.
Starting things off on their T side. They themselves, I'm sure, they're warmed up, and especially since they just...
То, честно говоря, полноценное Best of 3 мы с вами здесь увидим. Как думаете, чатик, будет ли здесь полноценный Best of 3, или же все-таки 2-0, Illuminar, или, быть может, команда Budapest Five закроет своего соперника? Интересно узнать ваше мнение. Ну а пока первая пистолетка и Budapest Five будут играть в атаке, Иллюминары в защите. А, нет, все, поменялись. Иллюминары будут играть в атаке, Budapest Five в защите. Окей, окей. Ну и по составам команд за Иллюминары играют такие люди, как Веги, Риц, Маус, Некс и Innocent. Поляки. Ну и венгры из Budapest Five. Это все те же Торзи, Флив, Бадита, Кори и Кулио. Ну и сразу же 4 зелени от команды Illuminar. Бадита без армора будет играть с диагонали. Первый минус от него уже имеется. Второй минус. Третьего нет. Риц перестреливает Бадита, и пока что 3 в 4. Но два игрока снова под зеленью пытаются что-то как-то найти для себя, но здесь еще один игрок на диагонали, это Флив. По нему информация есть. Бомбы, кстати, заспотали игры команды Budapest Five. И теперь могут быть... Смотрите, как в линию выстроились просто, да? Все вчетвером. Все вчетвером, и они просто не дадут бомбе выйти. От Кулио минус по Ридзу. Есть минус от Innocent. СП-250. Innocent попытается дать еще один минус. Там два игрока на диагонали. Кулио минус по Снексу. И последние 3 игрока ровно на одном месте. Боже, если бы Innocent знал, какие проблемы его здесь ожидают, наверное, бы не пошел, но выхода нет. Торзи дает минус, решающий в этом раунде, и Budapest Five берут пистолетку. Ну и коэффициенты от наших друзей из Прямая. Следующие. 2.01 на команду Budapest Five и 1.75 на команду Illuminar на первую карту. Форсированного, понятное дело, здесь не будет у команды Illuminar. Дождут следующего раунда и сыграют полноценный бай. Ну а пока Будапешты пойдут за своим вторым раундом. 4 МПХи, вот это интересно. Ну и 1 Фамос для Кори. 3 игрока под попдогом, 4 даже. И все идут на нижний. Веги первый минус, второй минус, третий минус. И на четвертый хватит ли маны. Куливающий первым патроном в голову Маузу дал. Это плюс 1800 долларов для него. Даже больше получит, 200. Ну, вот так вот все хорошо начинается для Будапешта в защите. 2-0 без каких-либо проблем. Ну и сразу же полноценная оружейка. 5 АК-47, по гранатам все хорошо у игроков Illuminar. 5 вторых арморов, что не менее важно, играя против фармилок и против Фамоса. Да, в принципе, против любого девайса, кроме АВП со стороны защиты. Ну и поджим вдвоем от Кулева и Флива. Под флешечку поджим снова на нижний парыч. И здесь Веги с Маузом будут играть первыми вдвоем. Веги первый минус, Маус второй флип на размене. Маус дает третий фраг. Ну да, пытались укрепить команду Budapest Five нижний парыч Б. На самом деле идея-то неплохая, но реализация несколько подвела. Снекс минус по Кори. И это уже 1 в 4 для Торзи. Ну и бомба, как мы с вами видим, пока лежит в душевых. Либо же сотка, пока непонятно по соотношению наверху или снизу, но бомба находится по этой миникарте. Но факт остается фактом, что, скорее всего, Illuminar заберут первый свой раунд в атаке. Керикс, Саймон играет на параллельном канале, на CS Рухаб, где комментирует этот матч для вас Ани Шарет. Поэтому я думаю, этот вопрос лучше туда задать. Или же, я не знаю, у тебя, наверное, просто стоит экспресс, и ты решил здесь спросить. Ну и погибает. Погибает Торзи 2-1. Вот он первый раунд для команды Illuminar. Ну, опять же, будет снайперская винтовка для Торзи, более чем уверен. Будет полноценный бай. Да, Торзи получает в свое владение снайперскую винтовку, ну и 4 М-ки. Кстати, в последнее время начал замечать, что вроде как ауги, да, стали преобладающей, так скажем, силой во многом в последние игры. Такое ощущение, что мета с аугами постепенно начинает возвращаться, но пока в сегодняшнем дне, кстати, аугов не было, по-моему, вообще ни разу у нас. В первом матче БВ-1 серии аугов не было вроде как 100%. Так, ну что же, Риц выходит на диагональ. Видит Бадита, Бадита ошибается. Еще один игрок за зеленым, это Флив. Выдерживает диагональ, хороший угол, ну и первый минус от него есть. Дал по голове Рицу, ну или не по голове, просто 3 тычки влил, но 24 хп у Рица остается. Замолили Торзи, Торзи дал размен, но здесь ситуация все равно пока плюсовая для команды Illuminar. Да, по хп есть огромные проблемы, но факт остается фактом. Видели Кулио, Кулио погибает. И последний Торзи. Торзи с АВП, по нему тоже информация была, поэтому здесь вроде как Illuminar заберут второй раунд для себя. Напомню, что Illuminar выбрали своей картой Трейн, Мираж выбрали Будапешт. Ну а десайдером будет Нюк, если будет, конечно. Были, да, у нас ауги жираф? Я просто, к сожалению, не обратил на это внимания. Ну и Торзи просто экзифрагирует по своему оппоненту. Но это не отменяет того, что Illuminar заберут второй раунд для себя. И причем с огромной долей вероятности у команды Budapest Five будет экономически следующим, чтобы через раунд закупиться. Хотя вот эта снайперская винтовка, хотел я сказать, вот эта снайперская винтовка, если бы была засейлена от Торзи, она могла бы, конечно, здесь несколько помешать команде Illuminar, но нет. Придется делать фулл экономический. Ну как же вовремя здесь, да, выбил последний игрок команды Illuminar снайперскую винтовку. Да, вот этот стрейф был лишним. Снекс Торзи успел забрать. Ну что, Дигл и 4 юспад. Команда Budapest Five. Команда Illuminar в своем владении имеет. Маг 10, 4 АК-47, полный пул гранат. Смачок вот такой подвеги кладет собственный игрок. Ну и команда Illuminar пока не торопится. Понимаю, что может быть где-то стак. Торзи занимает позицию вверх-низа. В смоке вместе с Бадита. Ну, один минус нашли. Два минуса нашли. Там Флип еще минус по Innocent нашел. Флип пока на Олафе. Ждет сам, но все-таки переиграть его не сумел. Ну, слушайте, а все равно ситуация патовая. У Мауза, да, 1 хп. Попади в него там с любой... Ну, не знаю, дунь на него он упадет. Ну, а пока у команды Budapest Five. Третий раунд не наклевывается. Ну, фейканули смоком на нижнюю Б. Оу, Кори! Ну, как? Да как же это жестко! Но. Да, там был игрок с 1 хп, но все равно, какой же сочный минус. Я думаю, что реплей будет после этого момента. Просто жесть. Просто жесть. Бомбу ставит на планту команда Illuminar. Ну и попытка ретейка. Ну, Кулю, наверное, все-таки лучше бы засейвить АК-47. Да, вот теперь уж точно. Но все равно идет. Все равно идет пытать счастье. Но не удалось. Третий раунд для команды Illuminar с большими потерями. Потеряли 2 калаша и маг 10. Ну и реплей, да, я вот о чем и говорил, что да, будет от Кори. Но это жестко. Это супер жестко было. Ну и теперь раунд под номером 6. Но перед тем, как мы начнем, дорогие друзья, напомню вам о коэффициентах от наших друзей из пряматч. На победителя этой карты 2.95 на команду Budapest Five и 1.37 на коллектив Illuminar. Ну, все-таки, да, учитывая то, что они играют за атаку и ведут, и это их карта, поэтому вполне логично, что они здесь фавориты. От Бадит есть первый минус. Попытка размена пока что не увенчалась успехом от Веги. Кори. Ой, здесь второго-то не прочитали. Второго не прочитали игроки команды Illuminar. Флип с Бадита здесь сыграли выше всяческих похвал. 2 минуса нашли и 2 минуса на зелени при этом. Ну, 3 в 5. 3 в 5 это играбельно в любом случае. Для команды Illuminar нужно лишь пытаться где-то найти один минус. И вот уже будет несколько проще. Там уже можно и какой-то, там, не знаю, 2-1 зелень и сотку разыграть. Либо же 2 поп-дог сотку просто выйти и дать минус. И уже отыграть 3 в 3. Ну, опять же, да, с точки зрения перспектив, варианты есть у команды Illuminar. Но какие? Выход под базу Б, где Кулеву ждет с дефолта Мауза. Ой-ой-ой. Моментальная голова с плеч. Ну и 2 в 5 уже кажется чем-то призрачным. Торзи еще минус по Innocent. Снекс выходит с бомбой на плент А. Ну и, кстати, эту бомбу ему дадут поставить. Третий номер. Пока что. Ага. Смачок. Но здесь Флип первый минус находит. Ну, бомбу поставил Снекс. В такой ситуации 1 в 5 это более чем похвально. Но снайперская винтовка вторая будет у команды Budapest Five. Флип отыграет с этим авиком. Ну, 100%, что можно прогнозировать на следующий раунд, это то, что команда Budapest Five на зелень уже, я думаю, вряд ли пойдет в агрессию. Потому что команда Illuminar будет этого ждать. Но проблема в том, что там экономически все очень плохо у команды из Польши. Но, кстати, это форс-бай. Это Дигл, это маг 10. Это снайперская винтовка, еще один Дигл для Рица и еще один маг 10. 2 маг 10, 2 Дигла, снайперская винтовка. Ну, посмотрим, что из этого получится. Пока что Фливом моликом сгоняют. С верхнего парыча. Есть от него минус по Innocent. Ну и дальше 4 в 5. Бум. Грант хороший, суммарно залетает в районе сотки дэмэджа по двум игрокам сразу. Это по Ридзу и Маузу. Ну и команда Illuminar пока что не планирует отходить от своего первоначального плана, а именно выход на точку Б. Кулево будет играть Доталова здесь опорником. Но он, кстати, не один. Он не один. Здесь же еще и Флив со снайперской винтовкой, который контролит выход с верхней Б. Полетели флешки, полетели смоки. Так, интересно. Флешечка на выход моментальная. Ну и пушит команда Illuminar в сторону тормозов. От Флива есть минус по снексу. Моликом отрезает хелпу с КТ. Еще одна флешка. Там два игрока под коннектором, но бомба установлена. В такой ситуации это тоже неплохо. 3 в 5. Осталось эту бомбу удержать. О, смак десяток. Неплохо здесь разбирается Маус плюс Веги. Есть минус от Бадито. Второй минус. Вот это спрей. Спрей хороший. Еще Флив минус по Ридзу. Это 4-й раунд для команды Будапешт. 2 раунда подряд берут в защите, что позволяет и экономике несколько бустануться, что для защиты очень даже хороший мотив для того, чтобы забрать уже и 5-й, и, возможно, даже 6-й раунд. Но сейчас ничего не прогнозировать, точнее, нечего прогнозировать от команды Illuminar, потому что, да, здесь банально будут диглы какие-то первые арморы, возможно, даже не у всех. И пока мы видим 3 осколочные гранаты, флешка-флешка. И деньги все-таки оставляют на следующий раунд поляки. Понимаю, что там нужна и снайперская винтовка, и огромное количество гранат. Ну и полетели хаешки. Также ответная граната в сотку залетает. Суммарно наносит неплохой дэмэдж по Ридзу и Маузу. Но уже первые 3 минуса от Кори и Флива. Кори 3 минуса. Ну и последний остается Innocent с диглом. 1 минус бы найти было бы неплохо. Он находит этот фраг. Ого-го-го-го. Неплохо. Ну и граната от Бадита прилетает, ставит точку в этом раунде. 5-3. 5-3. Ну а теперь полноценная закупка будет от команды Illuminar. РПГ не будет, да. РПГ не будет, мужики. Но сегодня, кстати, РПГ уже был, правда, в первом матче. Ну а здесь, кстати, снайперской винтовки нет в атаке. 5 калашей остаются мобильными. Игроки из Польши. Ну а напротив 2 снайперские винтовки, 2 калаша в защите и, конечно же, МК. 3 игрока играют в районе база. Один подпушил у нас зелень. И это 3-й номер Бадита. Ну, кстати, все. Вот этот молик на самом деле многое дал понять товарищу Маузу. Нет, это, кстати, Риц 7 номер. Что как раз-таки под зелень идет под пуш. И там первый минус, скорее всего, он найдет. Да, так и есть. Риц находит минус по Бадита. Ну, слишком глубоко и слишком увлекся этой аркадой Бадита. С другой стороны, если бы нашел минус, у них была бы огромная информация. И контроль карты при этом. Но контроля карты пока не будет. 2 гранаты. Ой, какие сочные залетают. Кори 43 хп. Есть минус от Мауза. От Флива размен. Но 3 в 4 для защиты это фатально. Остается один опорник на Б, это Кулио. И просто... А, я думал, без флешки будут заходить. Ну, со смоками с флешками вроде как будут заходить. Кулио контролит нижний парыч. Ноги, по-моему, не успел он еще заметить своего оппонента. Подпушил сотку у нас Флив с авиком. На дефолте играет Торзи тоже с АВП. 2 авика, на самом деле, с дефолта плюс сотка. Это максимально приятная вещь. Ой-ой-ой, Иллюминары идут прямо в лапы своему врагу. Но, кстати, вот 2-й номер, по идее... Если бы пропушил сотку, был бы королем сейчас. Но в итоге он уходит обратно. И 3 игрока с дефолта А будут играть. Выбирают такую стратегию. Если уж не угадают с плантом, то уйдут на сейф на зелень. Но они угадывают. Они угадывают. Торзи, минус по Веге. 3 в 3 уже. Полетела раскидка. 8 секунд. Поляки. 8 секунд. 5 секунд. Снекс. Информация есть. По коннектору убегает, убегает Кулио. Это 6-3. Вот это да. Вот это да. Не повезло, не фартануло. Ну, конечно, на супер лоу тайминге выходила команда Illuminar, да и плюс вот эти минуса. Они, на самом деле, не ожидали, что там 3 опорника на будет. Ну, потому что команда Budapest Five банально угадывала. Но не угадала. Не угадала команда Illuminar. Ну и они же берут тактическую паузу прямо сейчас для себя. Авик засейвлен. Снекс. $700 остается. Но не знаю, докупать что-то здесь команде Illuminar. В принципе, на 2 калаша и на 2 галила хватит. Почему нет? Почему нет? Вполне вероятно закупиться можно. 2 калаша, 2 галила, все нормально. Так, ну что, поехали. Раунд под номером 10. Первая половина плавно подходит к своему логическому завершению. Ну и команда Budapest Five пока на коне. Иллюминары. Да, 2 калаша, даже 3 калаша. И 1 Галил. Маус все-таки принял решение сыграть с первым армором. Ну а Снекс первый минус уже находит по Бадита. Точнее, там Кори уже погиб, прошу прощения. Не сразу заметил, Снекс минус 2 уже дал. Отвлекся я немножко от игры. Ну и 3 в 5. Команда Illuminar. Ну, на самом деле, в такой ситуации уже что делается? Либо ты раскидываешь Б, либо раскидываешь А и просто выходишь. И пытаешься играть в размен. О, это похоронка. Это похоронка от Кулио. Ну как же так, Illuminar? Ну просто жесть. Да бог с ним, даже если этот раунд заберут, но так зафакапить этот раунд, это, конечно, просто жестко. Но Кулио просто браво. Просто браво. Хаешка в дефолт прилетает. Граната не нанесла должного урона. Ну и 2 в 2 удержание плента. Есть диффуза у одного и второго игрока, но это 2 АВП. Не мобильны здесь игроки команды Budapest Five. Снекс разменялись с фливом промахами. И все, по Снексу информация есть. Да, знает, где находится его оппонент. Оп. Но он не горит. Не горит. Да что ж ты делаешь, а? Как же ты хорош, Снекс. Как же ты, Снекс, хорош! Успевает? Да ладно, Снекс, какой же царюга. Он не то чтобы дал 2 минуса стартовых, и в этом он красава. Он дал, во-первых, и третий еще и минус, и разыграл так жестко. Так жестко разыграл. Это просто жесть. Ну и Кулио, конечно, красавчик. Кулио здесь сделал максимально возможным раунд для своей команды, но не смогли Будапешт. Не смогли. Вот это да. Вот это да, дорогие друзья. Ну ладно, а коэффициент от наших друзей из пряматча прямо сейчас на победителя первой карты. 1.82 на команду Budapest Five и 1.92 на команду Illuminar. Выход на точку А. Это форс-бай от венгров. Innocent первый минус. Торзи погибает. Есть информация еще по между. Веги находит минус по Коре. Игрок за дефолтом находится. Игрок на дефолте. Флив дает минус Бадиту. Бадиту минус 2. Отличная работа. С коннектора должна прийти ассистенция от Кулио. Так она и случилась. И последний Снекс тоже должен погибать. Так оно и есть. Кулио красавчик. Боже, как же Кулио жарит вместе с Бадито. Бадито вообще 2 ключевых минуса дал в этом раунде. Но это максимально было круто. Ну а пока раунд под номером 12. Так, видит ноги Торзи своего оппонента. На рекойле попытался разобрать, не получилось. Это Innocent первый минус Кулио, размен Кулио, 2 минуса Кулио. Кулио на третий минус не хватило маны, да и соперник пришел не вовремя. Бомба будет установлена. Но опять же, экономический раунд очень хорошо прошел для команды Illuminar. Уже, независимо от того, как он закончится. Маус последний против 3 оппонентов. 2 девайса выбили. Слышит своего оппонента, ну и Флив опять же успел увидеть своего оппонента из-за того, что пикал с правого плеча. Ну что, 7-5. Ой, что я говорю? 8-4. 7-5. 8-4. Ну, 4 раундов пока маловато. Если заберут как-нибудь там 6 Illuminar, тогда это, в принципе, норм. Но... Как у нас там первый плей? 9-6, да, закончилось, по-моему, против команды Simon Gaming. Будапешта забрали 6 тогда в атаке, но им этого не хватило. Забрали 5 в атаке только потом. Точнее, в защите. Не, ну как, как они хорошо играли? Они забрали всего, сколько получается? 6 раундов в атаке, да? И 5 раундов в защите. То есть они больше забрали даже реально в атаке против команды Саймон. Ну и, наверное, для Budapest Five приятность в том, что, да, они разогрелись на первом трейне. Ну как, их разогрели на первом трейне. А сейчас их вышли такими размятыми на эту же карту против команды Illuminar. Не знаю, что играли Illuminar в первом матче для себя против команды LDLC. Пытается Риц в смоках найти хоть какой-то просвет, чтобы увидеть ноги своего оппонента. Пока что это не предоставляется ему возможным. Но сами на сильный трейн. Да, спора нет. Спора нет. Но это же был десайдер именно в один матч. Так, ну первый минус от Ридза. Бадит пытался под флешку распикать. Видно здесь также еще одного игрока. Это Кори плюс Флив. Ну и теперь у игрока на зелени вся эта информация на месте. А тут 3Б, тут 3Б. И 3 игрока на точке А у команды Budapest Five. И здесь у Кулио могут быть проблемы. Вот он, кстати, аук у Кулио. Веги находит минус и будет сплитить спину своему сопернику. А там еще один игрок. Еще один игрок на точке А. Это Флив. А в это время Кулио погибает. Ну, Флив, на самом деле, разминули здесь не очень хорошо. Да, Флив последний остается. Находит он минус, но это 5-й раунд для команды Illuminar. Так, ну и у нас, по сути, остается 2 раунда в рамках первой половины. 8-5. По деньгам все очень плохо у команды Будапешт. Но, наверное, имеет смысл даже форсить здесь. 1700, 1000. Да, это будет форс. Это будет форс от команды Будапешт, я более чем уверен. Ну, а у команды Illuminar будет тотальное преимущество по огневой силе. Как ни крути. Это и снайперская винтовка, это и огромное количество гранат, 4 АК-47. Ну и в итоге скаут, кольт, МПХ-9 для Кулио. Ну и Бадит вместе с Кори с чем пока не... 1350, значит диглы и первые арморы. Да, 700, 650, 1350, да, все верно. Подсчитано, подсчитано. Ну ладно, поехали. А, это ЦЗХ даже не подсчитано. По одному я промахнулся. Ну, смотрим. Пока что пытается у нас Торзи найти сотку. Видит оппонента, правда, промах допускает. Раскидка на базу от команды Illuminar. Так, второй пропрыгивает на левую сторону. Но здесь пытаются под авик открыть своего соперника команды Illuminar. И это приятно удивляет. Ну, ладно, давайте смотреть. Здесь на зелень-то уже вышли. Торзи минус пост Нексу нашел. Зелень-то вышла. Зелень-то вышла. Ой-ой-ой, мужички, мужички. Что ж вы делаете? Как же вы так пропустили-то базу А? Ну и в итоге 4 в 3. Бомба пока не стоит. Смог на коннектор залетает, но теперь под этот смог надо ставить бомбу. Маус минус по Кулио, прочитал спину. Отлично. От Флива размен. Низ от Innocent минус по Бадита. Веги контролит игрока на попдоге, так и есть. Первый минус по нему. Точнее, уже какой там по очереди первый минус. Ну и здесь не ваншотит Торзи своего оппонента. И Веги закрывает этот раунд в пользу своей команды. Ну что, выход на 7-й для команды Illuminar, по сути, потому что денег нет, это диглы, возможно, фармилка будет какая-то у команды Budapest Five, но с глобальной точки зрения это должен быть 7-й для Illuminar'ов. Ну, а коэффициент у наших друзей из матч 2.25 на команду Budapest Five, на победителя этой карты, и 1.6 на команду Illuminar. ЦЗХи, диглы, да, ну... Чем богаты, тому рада. Тому мы и рады. Выход наверх-вниз быстрый на ноге от команды Illuminar. Вот это, кстати, интересное решение. 2 молька прилетают на коннектор, плюс на тормоза за дефолтом. И уже Флив спускается наверх-вниз, где ожидает его Веги. 5 в 4, 5 в 3. Ну и первая половина уходит с минимальным преимуществом для команды Budapest Five. С минимальным. Первый, второй туда же. Ну, там со спины Innocent приходил, если что. Последний Кори тоже погибает. 8-7. Ну, половина-то крепкая получилась. Половина очень даже крепкая. Ну и небольшая пауза перед стартом второй половины. Ага, вот так вот, да? Так, тогда мы вот так вот пока что сделаем. Так, дорогие друзья, ну, пока что, к сожалению, картинка потеряна. Сейчас будем стараться что-то думать. Все нормально. Вторая пистолетка. Вторая пистолетка. Продолжаем прямо сейчас. Так, давайте на секундочку еще раз вас верну сюда. Так. Одну секунду, друзья. Одну секунду.
Well, they know two of their players are low, and with the MP9s and the M4A1s on the other side, sure, they may not have the most damage per bullet, but they're both very hard to pinpoint and take down for different reasons. Coolio does find snacks, so that's very big. Riats, at the very least, is good for one, but Coolio with the M4A1 has saved and a great angle for it. Might be able to do some more damage here. The MP9 trying to jiggle him out, make him change position and walk into Innocent's hands, and that's exactly what happens. However, they will be found. Riat with the Famas to cast them out. 1 kill, 2 kills, free kill for Veggie. Riat is a little bit frustrated about that. He's saying he gave the information. He's saying he knew it well, but Veggie steals all his kills.
It's just being economically efficient. More
That's
kill
true.
bonus for the SMG. Nothing to be upset about. The only silver lining for a round like that from Budapest is that they make it contestable. I think the one kill that they find on Coolio towards that B bomb site just makes things that much harder for Budapest to pull that back. That could have been a round that gets a little bit more interesting, but Illuminar sweep it under the rug. But now the AKs are out. The Galil on Coolio as well. And well, they'll have a narrow firepower advantage. It's all about whether these CT players can get their hands on the AKs. We saw Budapest on their CT side have double ults, 3 AKs. Illuminar are hoping to get similar buys.
Might be a bit ambitious, in all fairness.
Yeah, that's like best case scenario for your CT
Yeah,
side.
it's the ultimate case scenario. Nade flies in. Wow, that does not do much damage at all. I thought it would do at least a little bit more, but that's just grenades for you. 4 players on this A side, and I like that Illuminar is moving forward a little bit more aggressively to make sure that they can contest Pop Dog and T-Con. Looks like Veggie wants to actually go inside. The flashbang's not good enough, and Reeds can't take down the players in Ivy. Damage may be nice, but it's not good enough. They need to find the kills. Snacks repositioning onto back 6. Can he take them down? The flashbang doesn't catch him off. He's still on top of his train. They know where he is, though, and Badito immediately free-fires him. Veggie's positioning is great, even if his spray wasn't. He is able to find one quickly, and Innocent, again, with a slightly weak spray, will finish Torzi's life out and out. At least Badito in a 1 versus 3. He will plant the bomb, at least guarantees him some solace of economy, but solace is then swiftly taken away. And you've got yourself the 10th round on Illuminar.
Yeah, that 3-0 start after winning the pistol round goes a long way for Illuminar. They get to double digits first. And, well, that cash injection will certainly be a welcome sign for Budapest. It's still not enough to muster together a conceivable buy. Getting their hands on the AWP as well will be a emphasis point for them. You can see Torzi saving a bit more money than the rest. And a lot of utility brought forward in a pistol buy. Happy noises. Okay, I don't know what that was. That,
Happy dolphin noises.
that's made me uncomfortable.
Maybe like a happy otter. I don't know. That's the first thing I could think of when happy noises. Okay.
I don't know enough about animals to argue for or against you here, but either way, good to see the Phillies score forward, but they go without deploying too much of it. The flashes do nothing to get some distance on this B bomb site. The bomb was dropped towards the lane, so Veggie has sightlines over it. They cannot recover it without passing by him.
Unfortunately, this will lead to a death for Torzi as he picks up the M4A1 at the wrong time. Cleave next to fall. 3 players kept alive, but honestly, the second I saw Snatch being caught out, not being able to pull out his gun in time, I thought this round was gone. But Illuminar, they're able to take advantage of Budapest's positioning. And you're right, it's kind of surprising to see the lack of deployment of the utility, even if it has been bought. But maybe they were just hoping to keep it for a post-plant. They will have a full buy regardless. They will have an AWP out from Torzi. So, you know, at the very least, there is that. But slightly strange round coming out from Budapest 5.
No, AWP on Torzi. He goes for the initial peek, and while it won't be all too successful, there's the indicator for Illuminar. That rifle has been purchased up. Now it's just about playing the round out a little bit slower, as this was a pick to start things off. They may have picked themselves up a little bit better for an execute. They still need to investigate and find out what Illuminar are up to. Veggie aggressive in towards ladder once again, and they're slowly making their way over towards the brown holes, but Snacks and Innocent, they both find kills. That's the bomb spotted out in the brown holes as well. That puts a huge level of pressure on Budapest to make a move quickly.
Especially when the Illuminar is rotating over towards the correct bomb site. It's a great read, but they can't find the kill. It's Budito to swing out and take down Innocent. Snacks is feeling the pressure, but he's also feeling the flames right underneath him. The problem is, though, he's got to start darting around, playing this side perfectly, and he does so nicely. Budito, the ball, and next should have been Coolio, but a whiffed spray from Reitz will come back to bite them. Mouse now has to make up for that, as Max is considering going for the peak, the close range duel, and off the off. It's not going to work out for either of them. Meanwhile, Mouse decides he doesn't want anything to do with Torzi, and he just takes down Coolio instead. Unfortunately, though, Torzi is now deciding, well, you don't want anything to do with me? Huh, I don't want anything to do with you instead. It's a good old, I'm not breaking up with you, you're breaking up with me. And yes, I do mean that to be scuffed on purpose.
You can't fire me, I quit. Illuminar, can they get Mouse in the right position? He's seems to have blindsided Torzi, and yeah, he's so concerned about the quick rotation through to the connector. He doesn't even consider behind. Mouse outmaneuvers him in the 1 versus 1 and a 12th for Illuminar. They've had a clean sheet on the CT side thus far.
Well, I have to say Budapest 5 do always look a little bit concerning with their T signs. Right now is more than ever, though. Like, T side of train for Budapest 5, for me personally, it's not one of their better sides. I think they're heavily relying on getting 10 rounds on CT in most games that I've seen them win. But they're generally able to squeak out a few, man. Like, you know, 10 rounds on CT still means you've got to get 6 on T.
Yeah, this is the second time that Budapest are playing train today as well.
Yes.
So I often like to think that you iron out those creases, you do a little bit better job second time round, but thus far Illuminar are proving to be a much stronger opponent, less close rounds, and the nade is well timed, well received by Fleeve. They won't be too happy that he's been on that receiving end.
Indeed. Mouse looking to intercept any sort of B-side aggression. Snacks is actually here to give him backup, which is very surprising to me. We're seeing a lot of times where Snacks is already on the B-bomb side. It's a slightly unorthodox play of playing this side out, where Snacks is not playing from Z connector, ready to rotate away back to A. You almost never see 2 players early on B, but Illuminar have been running it to some success, actually. And they've also not even been getting too aggressive on the A side, where you can say, oh, hey, you know, we've got T-con control, we've got pop-out control. It's okay. You can go to B. It's just very interesting way of playing. And so far, Budapest 5 have just been walking into their hands again and again.
Nope, 30 seconds left to get an execute underway, and they are grouped up outside of B. Of course, that secondary player for Illuminar is there in Snacks. The AWP, the long sightlines that he can hold could be crucial, but pulling out utility when the time is so low, Snacks almost gets them to line up as they emerge from the heavens. Or is it trying his best to answer back, but Snacks hits shot after shot. Miles as well combines. It's just a clean sheet for both of them. The fact that they get 3 and 2 kills respectively, they don't need the rotations.
13-8. We're gonna see a replay from Snacks. I mean, look at this. The second kill is so incredibly nice as well, because Dorsey plays that perfectly. He goes for the good old crouch and get up, but Snacks is expecting that. So you can see some of that experience which you were highlighting coming into play for him, especially, and he's got a lot of it. So Budapest 5, this timeout is needed, but I don't really know what the adjustment call is. I mean, do you have any idea what they need to change? Because so far, for me, they've been getting picked off a little bit too much early.
Yeah, it does stem from just losing that man advantage so early on into these rounds and not being able to use the typical numbers advantage that you have moving into these sites all too effectively. Even in a round like that, they grind so much time off the clock and get very little information as a result of it. So I would personally like to see maybe a bit more of a fast play. It's always a bit difficult to make calls like that when every mistake, especially now where Illuminar are getting closer and closer, just comes in.
Interesting.
Makes things far more difficult. But that smoke from Benito, that's next level. That's he's thinking 2 moves ahead.
Yeah, that reminds me of the good old Fnatic on old Inferno, where they used to use the Molotovs to stop bottom of banana from being smoked off. That's cool. The opposite of that, but it's cool. Also cool is Corey and Coolio. Coolio's name literally has cool in it, so you know he is. Quick deagle shots coming in. Illuminar is fighting back to the best of their abilities, and they might still be able to run away with this, but there's a huge order to fulfill. Innocent finds 2, though, and that immediately brings things back in their favor. Despite getting the advantage, they're a bit overzealous to get onto the sites, and as a result of that, they are punished. They can't quite take away Innocent's life.
Yeah, small silver lining is that they've rotated more towards that B bomb site, but now Snacks, he picks up the slack. Benito gone, Torzy left to try and make this a little bit more feasible, but Snacks, he does it all. Switches out to the rifle, gets the kill as well, and well, he recovers the AWP after the fact. Illuminar now within touching distance, 14-8. So far, yet to concede a round on the CT side. Budapest, what is the change here? How do they bring themselves back into this game?
Honestly, I don't know about that, but I do know that Torzy has the coolest knife I've ever seen. Observer, can we check out Torzy very quickly?
No.
Torzy. Torzy? Yeah. Okay. Oh, come on. Stop swiping. Okay. Yep. There you go.
It is pretty.
Snacks, however, has also been pretty in the past few rounds, but his death is a little bit less so. Mouse looking to transition through with another few kills, but Benito's too quick for him, and he is able to bring him down. Illuminar say, you know what? Let's give them 1 at least.
Yeah,
and they run away. They don't want to retake.
And the faster play. They Illuminar go for some early information, and they get punished for that exact fact, and they just immediately go off of that pick. Budapest were in a position where they could make that quick call and overwhelm that B bomb site faster than Illuminar could rotate. So a round that works in their favor. Whether or not it's replicatable to allow the comeback here from Budapest still remains to be seen, because you imagine it just getting that initial entry isn't going to be the most consistent of facets for a T side to operate off of. But at least a timeline in which Budapest could potentially bring the game closer.
Oh, pauses galore.
Yeah.
Always good to see. I kind of want to see them getting aggressive into A side, to be honest, from Illuminar. Because that's not been something they've been doing at all. And this is where I'm not sure if this is Snax' influence or not, but Illuminar plays a very old school style of train. This is not the new meta train where the second you have any information coming on the base side, you say, okay, we're taking control of T-Con, we're taking control of Pop Dog, we're pushing out Ivy. This is the good old fashioned, hey, chill out on your side, sit back, lay down if you want to, wait for them to come to you, and hope you don't get flashed off.
Yeah, it's not this sort of push and pull dynamic, right? Where you're giving up map control somewhere, you're taking map control elsewhere. Similar sort of dynamics found on maps like Mirage, and yeah, I'm definitely in agreement of that. I mean, especially when Budapest win a round, and maybe you start to feel that the meter of momentum sort of shifts slightly to your opponent's favor. Going for more aggressive plays can always be a great way to just revert any sort of mistakes that happened before, because Budapest will have an idea of what they want to do, and you just throw a huge spanner in the works. It's always I feel like the biggest indicator of whether a team is proficient on a map or not is just the ability to make adaptive plays like that. Because if you're sort of uncomfortable, or you're not the best on a particular map, you're less likely to take riskier plays, because it shows a lot more when things don't work out, or it hasn't been well rehearsed from a CT side. So never want to fall into the firing line of criticism like that.
Yes. It's also very much a sign of veteranship in the in-game leader too, to be honest, because coming up with adjustments on the fly is not easy. Let's not sugarcoat that. It's very, very difficult. So if you're able to actually, if you're down 0-7, if you're down 0-6, 0-8, and then you're able to make a comeback to a 9-6 or something on those lines, that's huge. There's a reason why people like Alexi B, who are such young in-game leaders, are still so incredibly highly valued. It's because it's such a rare ability. Karakan, Fallen, Pronax, these legendary in-game leaders who are able to make these adjustments, they're the big ones to always keep an eye out for. And that's always the hallmark of a good in-game leader on a lower tier team as well. If you ever want to see what IGL to bring up to a higher tier team, look at the one who can adjust his players properly and find something or the other. You're not going to find anything on this screen, though, because that screen's empty now, which is why we've come back to Snax, who is also a player who, you could say, hey, maybe he should make some majors. Maybe he should win some majors,
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah.
Been having a good performance at the server as well. 24 kills to his name. And showing a lot of pressure over towards the B bomb site are Budapest. Shots fired, some utility exchanged between T and CT side, and they want to go for a fast execute on towards the site. Snack smoked off, Mouse left all alone. The Molotovs are buying him a little bit more room to work with, but Badito, he's on the heels. He's trying to wrap around, making it more difficult for Mouse, and they isolate him. They find the kill necessary. Snack's unable to trade.
Corey, he is going to be brought down. Snax' positioning is fantastic. He's been on point on this B side consistently, but now this has to be them pushing for map point. Badito's caught out. He looked the wrong way, and as a result of that, it's just his death. Snax coming in with yet another kill. They don't have any Molotovs over here to flush things out, and with the smoke being popped down, this will be very difficult for them to prevent it. Flashbang goes out. Snax gets one. Snax is sweeping out from Fleeve, and Fleeve will fall to Reeds. At the end of the day, the defuse comes through, and Illuminar is up on 15 rounds. Budapest 5, awkward position.
Yeah, far too many players to deal with on the retake there. Just being able to hold on to that site for Budapest, they had nowhere to go. So much utility still available because there was no pressure elsewhere on the map. So no real reason for Illuminar to have thrown that out. And well, if you don't use it at the early stages, you can use it to seal in the round instead. One more, and the map is Illuminar's. Budapest will try their darndest to make that at the very least, a delayed reality. And whether or not they can fight back to force an overtime, that still remains to be seen. Spread out this time around, not going for an early execute, going back to the style of play that we're getting used to seeing on their T side. Torzy, ooh, he's scoped in on the angle, waiting for the smoke to fade. Thought maybe he might fancy a spam or two reposition, but while he's even considering any of that, Fleeve has fallen towards T main.
very difficult set of affairs for Budapest 5 with the positioning of the CTs, but the one thing they have going for them is how much utility they have. So maybe they can get a good wall of smokes going, maybe they can isolate out these players in speedway. That's what they are going to be looking to do. Torzy pushing out, but he'll have to clear all these angles in Ivy, and that'll give them a lot of time to work with on the CT side. This could be tricky. Veggie finds one. It's Corey to fall. Innocent's missing shots all over the place, though, and Torzy can live because of that. Veggie next to go down. Badito, however, is still alive and kicking as trades came through all across the board to turn it into a 1v3. Badito trying his damnedest to bring something together. The clock is ticking. There's 18 seconds. The smoke goes down. Bomb has to follow up. Are they going to be spraying through? Mouse is walking in. He finds the back of the head. And with that, Badito will go down. Illuminar winning out the first map. That is their map pick. So, you know, you understand it. You expect it. But very domineering fashion once they get over towards that CT side. And even T side wasn't too bad for them.
Yeah, and it's one of the worrying things, I think, coming into this series. I kind of looked at the vetoes. I think Budapest need a map win to come away with the series. Obviously, that needs no real illustration, but just taking this first map means that Illuminar now have that much more breathing room. Mirage is a bit of a toss-up between the two teams. If they end up on Nuke, however, I do get worried for the Polish squad. I think there's a feasible chance that the Hungarians fight back. But a much better performance from Illuminar on train. Some good sort of clutch moments and some good composure from individuals really shining through.
And Stacks looked insane on that B-bomb side with the AWP as well. If I had to give an MVP for the map, it has to be him. And it's not just because of the crazy numbers he had. It's also just because of how incredibly well he was able to play everything out. With that being said, though, we are going to be going to a second map, and that's exactly what we'll be moving towards. So we'll be back in just a bit. Make sure you stay tuned and don't go anywhere. And we're back. This is Malta brought to you by Gaming Malta, a home of gaming excellence. And that's because it's hosted over in, well, not Malta Vibes, but Gaming Malta is hosted over in Malta. Fantastic place, lovely place. It's also a place where a lot of these players would like to go to. And that's exactly what they're fighting for right now. The winner of this week gets themselves $25,000 as well as a boot camp, a week-long boot camp at that, in a 5-star hotel in Malta. Sounds pretty sweet, doesn't it? Well, Budapest 5 need to be able to fight back in this next map to do that. Yumi here with me. We've been dreaming about Malta for a while, but we're also dreaming about this second map.
Yeah, not quite good enough to compete in a tournament like this myself and, get myself that prize. But I'm excited to see which of these two teams makes it all the way through out of this group, because right now, Budapest, it was a rough first map. There was a lot of really good tenured plays from the Illuminar camp, but this is one of the caveats to both teams having similar map pools. It's similar win rates for both teams on that first map, although Illuminar edged them out on train. Mirage offers a pretty similar story. Maybe there's that chance that because Budapest picked it, they'll have a bit more of a preparation coming into it against Illuminar.
Well, Illuminar does best of win rates on Mirage either as well.
Mhm.
We have to keep that in mind. But they did beat Budapest 5 before, and now you've had a while. I will give a caveat that beating was a overtime loss for Budapest
Mhm.
5. So, either way, you're not expecting it to go anyone's way too easily. And you can take a look at this from the previous map where the top performers from each side are being displayed. And my oh my, Snacks really earned his spot on the top. 27 kills, 15 deaths. And Leo had his moments as well, but they were more so over towards the CT side, actually. Coolio having 14 of his 19 kills on that CT side. So not really the best of performances overall from him, unfortunately. But at the end of the day, he wasn't the only one who was overperforming on the CT side. Fleeve, funnily enough, had 17 kills and only 18 kills moving forward. So you can see what a pummeling it was into the second half from Illuminar. And the one thing I'm worried about is, man, it's not easy to come back after you've had 1 kill and a half or 2 kills and a half and then just start up the next game like, oh, hey, we're fine. Yeah, no worries.
Mhm. Yeah, it's difficult to really bounce back when you start off the game pretty well. Like you said, 17 kills on that CT side, only to then flop in the second half. But, well, I mean, we have to kind of wait and see how that all plays out, because I'm personally gunning for the Budapest Five guys. I think the Hungarian scene has good representation in that regard with them, but it's just so good to see the most experienced player on that Illuminar side being the one that leads the way, right? Quite often it's experience alone, and just having that veteran leadership is kind of enough to bring the team up a level and sort of plug some of the holes and gaps in their knowledge. But he's leading by example, and it's not just we need this veteran player to sort of get our heads level on straight. He's doing the performance for, I imagine, the mentality, but also performing in the server as well.
And that's really big considering how many veteran players do just, dear God, this one lock of hair just keeps falling down. Sorry. But it's also really big when you consider that so many veteran players only bring the veteran seat to the table. And Snacks was always that, why are you bad now? Snacks was basically the guy you looked at with him and Bialy. They were the younger players. They were, 24 years old, 23 years old when Virtus Pro's OG 5-man lineup split apart, and they never performed. So it's good to see Snacks still here, still ready to bust a move out, get some action out onto the map, and good to see him not having run away to Valorant as nice.
Yeah, it's very easy to go to the
Dark
other games.
side.
Yeah, it's the dark side, unfortunately, for some players, and you would hate to lose such
Yes.
legendary names to other titles, and I'm glad we still get to see that very much emanated in this Polish roster. I have always been a huge fan and an advocate for the tier 1 players to kind of step down every so often should things be going astray, and rebuilding from there. And this Illuminar roster is doing that in spades, and a strong first map means that they still have that chance to even solidify more training opportunities and maybe some time away as well.
The one thing that I am worried about, though, is the fact that you really need Torsi to be coming alive on Mirage if you want to get away with anything whatsoever. He did not have a good first map. 16 and 20, not the best of stats on face value, but when you consider how much of their CT side was spent having a good amount of money and having decent economy, he had 13 kills on CT side, which is obviously pretty good. It's respectable, but even that's not leading the charge when you've got two other players with more kills than you do. And I know it's not all about the kills. I get that. Trust me. I'm a firm subscriber to that. But on Mirage, it sort of is when you're the Opera, where you need to be able to step up, where you need to be able to get really, really dynamic, and move across the map nicely. And on the T side especially, because Torsi's rifles are not his strongest point. So it could be risky if they're not coming live. If they do, though, then I just think Corey... Look, I think Corey is one of the best players there is in all of Tier 2, Tier 3 European Counter-Strike. So I always want him to have a good performance, and that's kind of why over here I'm hoping that Budapest 5 can equalize. Also because I want to see Illuminar and Nuke. I want to see whether they've added that extra depth and whether or not they can compete over there. But right now, of course, to get to Nuke, you've got to get past them initially, and it seems like the nice round at the very least is going to go the way of Illuminar. Whether that's indicative of anything to come, I don't really know.
Yeah, I think it's actually Budapest 5 that have the freedom of choice, so just a small little hug list. But yeah, but either way, yeah, the Mirage is still the hurdle to pass. And while you talk about the kills and how it's usually not that important, it's always important as well to contextualize that, because on train, sometimes it did just come down to one or two individuals on Illuminar pulling up a multi-kill where a trade could easily have occurred for the other side. So frags are important in that sense, just being able to secure some space and make things easier on yourself in the later stages, because if you allow the players to run off, then things can always get a bit dicey.
I always like warm-up warriors. Mouse just hit that sickest one tap, and I just think, all right, Mouse, let's go. I always wish it translates through.
Yeah, if they're anything like me, exactly, it doesn't translate through to real gameplay. It's like I'm having a field day and they can't even touch me, and then when I'm actually in the game, they violate every principle.
I'm glad you said principle, but Budapest will have the loop bet odds not really favoring them. Again, our good old pals, buddies, friends, partners. I can't think of any other words for them, but they deserve a few more. They're saying that it's a 155 to 235 in favor of Illuminar. I don't know if I agree with that, to be honest. I think it's actually quite even in this, unless they're factoring in the poor performance towards the latter half from Budapest 5 in the previous game.
We'll see if there's been a reinvigoration of Budapest as the approach towards B begins for Illuminar. Badito in with the first. There's 3 players here on this B bomb site to deal with this push, and Badito is still alive and kicking 3 kills thus far for him, and he's creating a lot more space and a lot of time for the Budapest 5 lineup to rotate into the site. There's only Innocent left in the apartments now. They've tracked down Snacks, who made his way out in towards that van position, and a 1 versus 4 for Innocent. This is going to be a tall order.
This is called a good old rush B strategy, and unfortunately doesn't always work out. Budapest 5 is very happy with the call, however, and Innocent, well, he's got a P250 at the very least with Kevlar, but with 33 HP, Kevlar is really not going to be giving you much. No bomb either, and Torzi, well, he's just taking down Innocent. Again, rushing B, not the smartest of ideas in today's day and age. You know, that nade flies through, does alright damage, and then Badito's not being checked at all. He's able to get 3 kills on that side, so, you know, just slightly sloppy around. But I have to give massive props to Budapest 5 for predicting it and having 3 players on the side early on.
Yeah, playing definitely more in favor of a retake A situation as opposed to conceding that B bomb site, which is a good indicator that they are not quite out of this yet. A strong round to start things off. And while Illuminar will scramble to try and get something going in a round like this with the Eagles in hand, they will be met by SMGs on the other side. Corey, Fleeve, they both get kills respectively, and Illuminar with the remaining pressure in towards middle. Well, they don't have the bomb, they're just trying to keep Budapest at bay.
It's all about the money. It's all about keeping it in your wallet and making sure it doesn't slip out and fall over. But Innocent had a chance to take away that life, unfortunately does not capitalize. So with that, and Snacks not going for the jump, Leave at the very least should be very safe. Innocent, however, coming in from the back lines, and Snacks landing the jump makes it so that, alright, at least you find one kill. I don't know if they can get more though. Forsy's happy to take these duels early on. Then he backs off and says, SMGs, it's your time to shine. Get yourself some money. Treat yourself to something nice. Don't spend it all in one place.
Well, they had to separate to go and recover that bomb. Snacks to pick that one up, so he left Reek down in the dust, and well, he will meet him in the exact same place. Another kill for Budapest, and well, keeping 4 up in the anti-eco is always a welcome sign. This is where it's a possibility we just get a rush play in, not going to be too much bought through by Illuminar, and while it didn't work in the pistol. Yeah, we do hope that a singular bit of utility gets bought up by Illuminar that could help close that gap.
Well, unfortunately, it is not the case, but hey. Tawzy, early spray down on the Innocent, Veggie, Snacks. Good amount of money actually put up onto him. $900 goes a long way when you're an OPA. So, you should be able to buy up an AWP in the next round, drop the M4 over to Fleeve, to Coolio, and then you've got yourself a very solid buy.
Okay. If that decision actually ends up being.
Fleeve just bought an M4.
Yeah, I don't think he wants to upgrade anymore. He wants to keep the economy high on the CT side. I mean, he had a nice little spray down there against the anti-eco, so maybe he's feeling a little bit more confident on that rifle. He heard you talking about him not being that stronger rifler. He wants to prove you wrong.
No, I said his strongest point isn't his rifle. I didn't say he's not that strong. I'm very careful with my words so I don't get flamed by fans.
Oh, I might put words in your mouth there.